Warning, this story contains images that may be shocking to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. From butt injections to facial fillers, many have gone to great lengths for an illegal glow-up, even traveling overseas.
Seeing women lined up in wheelchairs returning home from getting cheap out-of-state, even out-of-country procedures are common at certain airports.
But while black market procedures might be cheaper than the real deal, they could cost you your life.
These women all reportedly died after having butt lifts.
Why were this mother and daughter charged with murder?
Is there anything you want to say to these families?
How did this woman end up with cement in her face? And what happened to her nipple? This is Your Body On Black Market Cosmetic Surgeries. Illegal cosmetic procedures are performed outside the medical profession's legal regulations, which means there are no rules.
It's an epidemic that's actually getting worse as social media is becoming more popular.
These procedures can range from injectable treatments like Botox and fillers to surgical procedures like liposuction and breast augmentation. They may look safe and affordable on paper, but these black market surgeries could ruin your life and even end it.
I paid, under $5,000 to have this done, and it's costing me my life at this point.
People were looking at me and laughing at me and taking me as a joke.
If you could go back in time and tell yourself something beforehand, what would you tell yourself?
That I was good enough and I didn't need to do this.
Our first story is about a woman who risked it all for a bigger backside. Taryn Quinteri, butt injection gone bad. This is Taryn Quinteri, a business owner and tattoo artist from Phoenix, Arizona. She specializes in camouflaging scar tissue. Growing up skinny, she felt self-conscious about her small butt and dreamt of getting a Brazilian butt lift.
Growing up, I wanted to be a little bit thicker. I didn't like how skinny I was.
In Taryn's case, she was too petite to use her own fat to top up her tush and opted for a more dangerous approach.
There was nothing really available for me at the time. I couldn't get a BBL. I didn't have any fat to transfer.
Feeling hopeless, she looked far and wide for an under-the-table solution. Then she came across a mother-daughter injecting team, Libya Dame and Alicia Galaz, who seemed trustworthy at the time.
I reached out, I talked to them, and she had done her own daughter, so I completely trusted her.
In 2017, she bit the bullet and traveled to a swanky Vegas hotel to get her shots, joining a long line of desperate women like her in the hallway.
So I went ahead and did it, and I loved it at first. Everything was amazing, and then all of a sudden I developed a rash, and it was just on my butt cheeks, so I knew it was the injections, and I knew something was wrong.
Over time, the rash spread and became excruciatingly painful. Scared and overwhelmed, Taryn visited multiple specialists to find out exactly what was injected into her body.
It doesn't even matter what's injected. It's stuff that doesn't belong in your body. It's not sterile, it's not processed. In large quantities, it's not allowed. People's bodies react to stuff all the time.
Believe it or not, the Federal Drug Administration only approves injecting your own fat into your body. Anything else, like silicone, is off the table. Why? It could lead to poisoning or even death.
The problems that people tend to have are autoimmune problems. They feel tired, they get back pain, they get burning and itching in their butt. Their legs feel heavy and numb, they have difficulty walking. Sometimes it's 3 weeks from the time of injection, sometimes it's 30 years later.
The more Taryn learned about the dangers of these injections, the more she grew weary about the future.
I could end up on dialysis in 10 years. The product could migrate into different parts of my body. I thought, okay, I I have to tell my mom that I might not be around to take care of her when she's older.
In 2019, the mother-daughter butt injection duo was charged with the murder of another woman, Carissa Rajpal, who died after allegedly getting injections from them, according to ABC News.
The daughter is part of what made me feel okay doing it, because she was like, look, I have them. The daughter definitely helped sell me.
Shocked and saddened by the news, Taryn saved up enough money to pay for a full surgical removal of the injected fluid in her buttocks. And it cost a whole lot more than her illegal injections in Vegas.
My surgery was 7 hours to remove them, and I still have quite a bit of product in me. I'm going to have to go through it again at some point.
While Taryn's reversal was a success, she's not the only woman whose life was put in danger from a black market glow-up. Raji Naren Singh, cement face filler. 48-year-old Raji Naren Singh had a terrifying problem. Her face was filled with cement. Yeah, you heard me. Cement.
I went for what I thought was medical silicone. That's when I found out that these injections that I had been getting were a concoction of cement, tire sealant, and glue. I had a horrible reaction in my face. It was devastating.
Raji is one of 30 victims disfigured by this woman, O'Neill Morris.
A woman who came to be known worldwide as the toxic tush doctor.
Police say this person injected a patient with cement, and that is just the beginning.
O'Neill posed as a nurse and invited victims to her house to receive injections for extremely discounted prices.
Medical grade silicone, and just this bottle is about $500. And that's why a lot of these people do it. They hear you can get your face pumped up for $300.
Raji paid just $100 per session. Like most of O'Neill's victims, Raji is transgender, and she was desperate to feminize her appearance.
You want so badly to match the way your outside feels with the way you feel inside, that you're willing to roll the dice and take chances.
Unfortunately, Raji took a chance with the wrong woman. It started with a large boil on her face that kept getting bigger and bigger. Large lumps formed under her cheeks, lips, and chin in no time. As a result, she spent years in solitude, fearful of being ridiculed.
People were looking at me and laughing at me and taking me as a joke.
Thankfully for Naren Singh, she got help on the plastic surgery show Botched. After a few careful procedures, the doctors removed the cement, taking a literal and figurative weight off her shoulders. Our next victim got less nip than tuck on her quest for a makeover. Lindsay Colosimo, breast reduction nightmare. Lindsay Colosimo from Delray Beach, Florida, dreamt of a perfect beach body, so she traveled to Colombia for a deadly discount.
I didn't feel good about myself. And I thought I would be coming home and being able to put on a bathing suit and go run around and look cute.
Lindsay was swayed by positive reviews and a well-produced ad for Dr. Carlos Ramos, an uncertified plastic surgeon in Colombia who offered full-body makeovers for a fraction of the cost.
He's called the surgeon of Barbies. I was calling him a butcher by the end.
She signed up for a tummy tuck, breast reduction, and a bum lift, all for only $10,000, a price that was too good to be true. But right after the surgery, Lindsay knew something was wrong.
Through the tape, I could see a black spot on my nipple, and I kept asking what it was.
Ramos assured her that everything was fine, but it wasn't long before things took a turn for the worse. Lindsay sent photos to her sister, who was a nurse, and they got back to her immediately with terrifying news.
And she showed them to her doctor, and her doctor immediately said it was necrosis.
Necrosis is when your body tissue dies from not receiving enough blood flow. It's irreversible and can lead to a life-threatening infection, gangrene.
I was mortified, and I was ashamed and embarrassed, but also very angry that the doctor didn't tell me what was going on and kept telling me it was normal. and that everything would fix itself in 3 months.
Just 10 days after the surgery, Lindsay started leaking fluid out of her breast. Her stomach swelled, and she turned pale as a ghost. Despite all this, her surgeon, Carlos, still reassured her that there was nothing to worry about. But Lindsay wasn't convinced. She went back to Florida for treatment. Sadly, the necrosis worsened. She had to lose her nipple to survive. She spoke with a Colombian lawyer to get to the bottom of Carlos's mispractice and found out that Colombian law doesn't require doctors to have a degree in plastic surgery to practice. Carlos had been paying off doctors to sign official paperwork. He was part of a criminal organization of fraudulent plastic surgeons operating in Colombia. In 2016, he was arrested for the death of a Puerto Rican patient of his. He also faced charges of practicing medicine illegally, but somehow wasn't found guilty. Lindsay's recovery has been long and arduous. She had to wear a wound vac for months and spent a hefty $40,000 on multiple operations to repair her damaged body. If this video didn't convince you to be cautious about cheap cosmetic surgery, well, the next one will. We'll look at how Victoria Michaels suffered a botched tummy tuck on another episode of Your Body On.